get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that my kids and me. Gotta make sure that.
Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Tonight, I'm not drinking on anything tonight. I'm just drinking on sweet tea tonight, man. I hope you guys are drinking responsibly, man. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys had a blessed weekend. Uh, but there's something I want to talk about with you guys tonight. I saw this particular video. It went viral. It went viral. Uh, I know some of y'all have seen it, but this guy went viral for um charging his wedding guests to attend uh his wedding, him and his fiance's wedding. Um, I got some thoughts about this. Okay, so to break it down, the backstory is, him and his fiance spent around $200,000 for their wedding, and I don't know when the decision made. I saw the video, never revealed why they made a decision or what the purpose was, but they want to charge their guests $450 to attend their wedding that they wanted. They invited their guests to attend, right? And of course, this received a lot of backlash, right? As a married man myself, who, yes, I had the wedding and everything like that, it was nowhere near that amount. Let's just be honest with you. Be honest with you, but um, $450 to attend a wedding is crazy to me. I explain why. One, I've never heard like guests paying to come see you get married. Doesn't even make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. And let me clear I'm gonna clear this up right now. He said 450 per guest. So let's just say you want to bring um someone with you, right? You want to bring a date. That's $900 right there for two people. And I'm thinking like, okay, why would you for one, I think $200,000 for a wedding is crazy anyway. I personally I don't understand it. Right. If you say like 10,000, 20,000 for a wedding, okay, right. Um, $200,000 for a wedding, and yet you are charging your guests, that's telling me that one, you went way beyond whatever your budget was. And I don't know who idea was to say, hey, let's try to recoup some of this money and let's charge the guests 450 bucks a pop to come to our wedding. Let's just say this, right? Let's just say they charged to 450 bucks. How many guests would it be for uh for them to actually kind of like recoup all of their money, for instance, right? That's pretty much about 450 people, right? Roughly. Um Around like 445, 450. So even with that, it's kind of like you spent all this money for a wedding just to charge people to come to your wedding. I've never heard that in my life. And it's kind of like, why would people spend so much money for what? First off, it's about y'all. We're it's about celebrating y'all. But you invited this people, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sit here and pay $450 to not only see y'all get married, but to eat some dried up chicken. All right, I'm not doing that. And another thing, he went off saying, "Well, you got people that will spend all this money to go see Beyonce, all this money to the meet and greet with Chris Brown." Guess what? They weren't forced to do that either. That's something they want to do. You have to understand this. That's a memory that a lot of people would cherish for the rest of their lives. When it comes to weddings, the only people that's going to really cherish that memory is the people getting married. That is it, right? I don't know how many weddings y'all been to. I've been to a couple myself. Again, I'm married myself, so my wedding is something I would cherish for the rest of my life. Um, but for the guests there, they just there just to witness a union between two people. That's what that's about. But to have all this money being spent on a wedding, I don't know who idea it was. I don't know if y'all thought it was a good idea to spend $200,000 on a wedding. Um, it just went to it just showed me that you overextended yourself, and not only did you overextend yourself, you like paid so much, right? So much. And that's the thing about weddings too. So many people are so focused on the wedding day, the wedding ceremony, the wedding reception, not understanding that, yeah, that's one day. That's also the day your life starts together as one, right? And I don't know this man's financials, but if you had it like that, you wouldn't charge people to come to your wedding. I'm just saying, you wouldn't charge people to come to your wedding. So it just shows me you really didn't have it like that. Y'all didn't have it like that. And not only that, you mean to tell me you ain't got you didn't couldn't figure out a way to have you could still have a great wedding on a much, much, much smaller budget, right? And a lot of times too, man, you just gotta go out there and just find the people, man. Like, you know, a DJ. Do you know somebody that could DJ, for you? Work out some type of um situation or whatever like that. Photographer, videographer, um, the venue. Because really, the money's really been spent on the reception. Let's just call it what it is. It's really being spent on the reception. But even with that, again, I'm not paying $450 to watch you to say your vows and then eat some dried up chicken. I could have spent that on a vacation somewhere, a plane ticket to go somewhere and enjoy myself, right? Could have done that. Or I could have spent that on, you know, my bills. You know, probably got, you got your light bill, you got your water bill, you probably got your streaming services that you have, insurance, like car insurance and stuff like that. Some something like that, right? And the backlash she was getting was, justified because like who's gonna do that? Who's gonna do that? Like, did y'all not actually have a wedding planner? Or did this wedding planner take advantage of y'all? Like, oh, this is gonna be extravagant, yada yada yada, all this stuff. It costs you money, right? It costs you money. And I just feel like it could still be extravagant, still on a much smaller budget, right? And here's the thing, people are confusing. I always say this, you might spend that much money on your wedding day, but what happens if you guys don't make it? Like y'all get a divorce, say like a few years later. And yet you see people who go down to the courthouse, get married, and they've been together 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Not saying that, when they do their vow renewal, they'll have a wedding, but come on. That's like I get it, it's a special day, but we all know when it comes to weddings, the people involved gotta pay for the wedding because it's your special day. This is a memory that you're gonna have for the rest of your life if it's successful. If it's successful. I'm not gonna say, you know, if it's not successful, then you kind of like dreading that day. Like, man, I just wasted $200,000 on something that didn't even last very long. You know what I mean? So I just think that whoever, I don't get it. I do not understand. I do not understand why you would charge to have someone come to your wedding. I I don't get it. Y'all please in the comments, y'all let me know. When did first off, when did this start? When did this whole Imma charge people to come to the wedding? Now don't get me wrong. You're gonna have people that's gonna RSVP, they don't show up. Those who don't understand, they're paying for you to eat, essentially. It's the catering, right? So they do it by a number of people. You don't show up, then yeah, they just lost some money, right? However much they were charging per head, whatever. But all of this money, you're charging all this money for to see you two get married. That's I wouldn't even show up. After you invite me, then you gonna tell me, oh yeah, it's $450 per person to come to the wedding. You out your doggone mind. You think I'ma show up? Look, I can still support you, but I'm not spending that type of money on something that you didn't handle very well. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Y'all didn't budget this thing very well, and now the guests pretty much have to help pay for this wedding. That's what it comes down to. They have to basically help pay for this wedding. And I don't think that's cool at all. Personally, I don't think it's cool at all. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think this guy was in the wrong for charging? And remember, he's the only one coming out saying this. I guess he was speaking for himself and his fiance. So y'all let me know what y'all feel and just leave it in the comments, okay? Because I this is very very I was just like shocked by it, right? I just don't understand it whatsoever. Uh, next thing I want to talk about, um, this particular it might ruffle some feathers or whatever. Um, don't really care. So for the last couple years, there's been platforms out there where you have this whole men versus women uh topics coming on, right? You see a lot of the uh big podcasts out there. This all they talk about, right? It's like nonstop. It's like it's basically nonstop. It's really no it's not really a solution based. It's just men versus women. Um Now some platforms is all about understanding each other. I like those type of platforms, right? To you ask questions to get an understanding on how a man would feel in this situation, how a woman would feel in this situation. I get that, right? But far too long, man. I think this whole men versus women thing, this whole era should be done with, right? If it's a relationship podcast that help couples, succeed in their relationships and all that, I think I think that's great in my opinion, right? But this whole men versus women, y'all doing this arguing, you got people who's bringing statistics versus people bringing their feelings. I get it. It's great content and everything like that, but where's the solution at? Where's the solution at? you got a lot of people out here who was just um they're not listening. They're just waiting to reply because how they feel and they think that you know they're wrong. Even when they bring data into this, they cite their sources. Still, it's kind of like it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's to me. I think this whole thing should be done and over with. Personally, right? Um, and you do have some platforms out there that do bring guests on that. Unfortunately, in terms of when it comes to intellect, they're not on that level as the host. So the host looks better than they should be. If you're gonna have a real conversation, bring somebody on there that's highly intellectual that could articulate their arguments. And it's not a shouting match, right? It's not a shouting match. If you're gonna be an adult and you're gonna have these conversations, it gotta be it has to be a mature conversation. It really has to be a mature conversation. And I think that a lot of time, and you got a lot of, they understand in social media and how social media works. Drama sells on social media. We know that everybody's addicted to drama, right? Even if you go like y'all remember growing up in school, you see people get into a fight, everybody runs to a fight because it's drama, it's conflict. People are drawn into that, right? I understand that. On my platform, we don't talk about that because I don't want to. I'll just be another platform talking about the same thing, and I don't want to do that. Uh, but by the end of the day, I like to I like to hear some solutions. Um, in my opinion, I like to hear some solutions, and just to be able to see what people got to say. That's just my opinion whatsoever. So if y'all agree with me, please let me know that you guys agree with me. I know a lot of people are kind of tired of this men versus women era, especially with podcasts. And that's when the whole thing is built. And you still talking about the same thing. Uh, I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about the whole men versus women era and this ongoing debate. And it seems like it's the same thing that keeps going on. For me, and I mean, don't get me wrong, some of those clips are very, very informative, but for the most part, for the most part, I'm not I'm not understanding any of those things. All right, y'all. One thing I want to talk about too, before I get out of here. I just got the news. Um, y'all know I'm highly into sports and everything. Football season is back, even though it's preseason. I know a lot of you are just happy to have some type of football back. I know college is about to start in a couple weeks, and right after that, the NFL. But I want to talk about ESPN, and obviously, we all know ESPN over the years has been laying off people, right? Nothing new. Every industry, every company, we have businesses that have gone out of business because of these times and everything. But some firings to me doesn't make sense. What am I talking about? Well, Robert Griffin III. If you don't know who he is, he was a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in college at Baylor. Uh, Also a track star too. Played for the Washington football team in his short career. He's been with ESPN for what's about 3 years now? It's about 3 or 4 years. They let him go. Uh, and looking at the reports and everything like that, also I think she was a Sunday, she was a NFL Sunday Countdown football host, Sam Porter. Uh, let him go, I guess apparently for sticking up for Florida State. And some of the talent on on at ESPN didn't like that very much. Um, and this is to me is kind of why I think ESPN is starting to fall off some. Is the fact that if you disagree, you're upset, so you want to get this person off the air because they disagree with your stance. Paul Feinbaum, listen, he's everything SEC. I get it. But if y'all go back to early this year, I did an episode about this early this year. Shout out to my boy Marcus, who was a huge Florida State fan. He even made a guest appearance on that particular episode. He, like me, I felt like Florida State got screwed during the college football playoff because they lost their quarterback. Now, remember, this team went undefeated. Now, did they get beat down in their bowl game? Absolutely. But I don't think mentally they were in the space. You know, sometimes something like that could be so, um, it could hit you so bad to where you're like, man, I don't even want to play this game. And it showed, and a lot of the players didn't play, you know, which, you know, when it comes to that closer towards the end of the college football season, I would talk about bowl games and are they still should they still have bowl games and things like that. I'll talk about that when the time comes. But RG3 was defending Florida State, um, saying that yeah they should have got in, and he felt like that he should be entitled to his opinion. I feel like Robert Griffin III was really good at ESPN. I mean, and here's the thing: I don't think he's going to be out of a job much longer. I think another network is going to pick him up. He was really great in the booth. He was great with the rest of the crew on the countdown and things like that. You know, he's one of those guys that you could tell he's not going to be out of a job for long. It's just my opinion. He's not going to be out of a job. Somebody's going to come and you know he's very talented in that way. I enjoy watching Robert Griffin III. That just me. RG3 is a great commentator. And to me, he explains things very well. Um, but you know, from the reports, they talking about how you know he was defending Florida State, and some of the on-air talent didn't like that because we got to be honest here. We understand some networks are in bed with some of these conferences. We got pointed out some networks are in bed with some of these conferences. So for him to come out there and basically said, yeah, they kind of got screwed because they lost a quarterback. You know, they even though they won the last two games without their quarterback, was it the same offense? No, it's not going to be the same offense when you changing out quarterbacks, right? Especially a guy who was pretty much on the Heisman Trophy list. Um, I felt bad for Florida State then. I still feel bad for him now. But Robert Griffin III should not be fired for voicing his opinion and standing up to a school that should have been in the playoffs. It's just my opinion. And we're not going to act like money is not a big influence when it comes to the college football playoff, right? Now, when it comes to basketball is a little different, right? The formula is a little bit much more simple than it is in college football. You know, in basketball, if you really want to go to the NCAA tournament and uh, get that automatic bid, win your conference tournament, you get that automatic bid. In football, not so much. It's about your strength of schedule, right? Not only is it about your strength of schedule, but it's also about who's available. And unfortunately, with the quarterback, what's his name, Jordan Love, when he got hurt, that was the end for Florida State. But when you have commentators, right, who've never played the game, at least on the college level, commenting basically saying no, they should not be in because they lost their quarterback, right? And they have this influence in a way. I think that's not right. That's not right. And I'm proud of RG3 because you got a lot of guys who won't stand up and voice their opinion. Like, I'm not going to go along with this script. I'm not going to do it. I get it. You're in bed with this particular conference. I'm not going to say who it is, but y'all can figure it out. Um, and to let him go right after that. See, and Sam Porter, who was the host of the Sunday football countdown, her husband is a Florida State alum. So it's kind of like you trying to get Florida State out of there because RG3, I think his wife is an alum of Florida State. So it's kind of like this ain't no coincidence. Ain't no freaking coincidence. And listen, there's been a lot of people that ESPN had they let go that was super talented. Super talented. And this just the latest of ESPN getting rid of a super talented commentator uh, who has played the game on the highest level. Who, to me, I look at him, Dan Orlowski, I look at Marcus Spears. I can hear about these guys talk about football all day. Ryan Clark, too. Those are the two. Those are the guys I can hear talk about football all day long. But to get rid of RG3 because he took a stance for Florida State, to me, that just I don't know what's going on. Maybe that was looking the reason to let him go. Maybe some other talent was probably jealous of RG3 and how he was really, really producing out there and not not backing down from anybody. I respect that. And I think ESPN going to regret this because I'm telling you, another network going to scoop him up like, oh, they come on. And they lost some talented individuals. Colin Coward left. You had Skip Bayless. I mean, people love him, they hate him. But he left. Chris Broussard left, which I thought that was just a terrible move by ESPN. So yeah, you have people that left and they're going to other networks. So bad move by ESPN by letting RG3 go over his stance over Florida State. Just my opinion. So whatever. All right, y'all, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in with me tonight. Before I go, I just want to say a new school year has started. So to everyone's going back to school from elementary all the way up to college. I hope you guys have a safe, blessed, successful school year. So I know a lot of parents are happy that school is back in right now. But I hope all the students have a safe, blessed, and successful school year. Don't forget to make sure you follow Drinking After Dark Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, new episodes uploaded every week. YouTube, Spotify, Radio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, it's uploaded there. Make sure you tell your friends and family about the podcast and things like that. Until next time, I'm Darius from Drinking After Dark, and we out. Peace.
Gotta get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family's straight.